So today we're going to be looking at 5 ways to find off-market sellers so that you can get some of those diamond in the rough deals into your own portfolio. So let's start by looking at reverse inquiries to foreclosing lenders and their counsels. And this is coming from an article on my blog, FIXnotes.com/where to buy mortgage notes for sale. So reverse inquiries essentially means reaching out to a lender or a foreclosure attorney to go through them to find the lender in order to make an offer on a mortgage note that you know that they own because you found it in the public records. So essentially, when a lender enforces their interest in the borrower's property through the foreclosure process, there needs to be some documentation in the courts and public records. So that gives you, a savvy note investor, a window of opportunity to reach out to that attorney to then get an introduction to their lender to potentially make an offer on the loan. So instead of them going through the entire costly and time-consuming foreclosure process, they could just sell the loan to you. So first thing you want to do is to look at the markets that you'll be targeting mortgage note acquisitions in. This means the specific counties where you're interested in buying these notes. And then once you have the county records pulled up, you can start to look at lists of sheriff sales or lis pendens recorded in the public records. This is one of the first filings, documents that are recorded in the county when the loan is in default and maybe going to that foreclosure process. The earlier the better to reach out to these foreclosure attorneys so that you're able to give that lender an offer before they get too far down the line where they might as well just continue with the foreclosure. So make sure you look at these filings to find the name of the lender. Now, if you're looking at a previous assignment of mortgage, it will be the assignee, the person who now owns the loan, and you'll see the entity name there. Now, you really want to look for companies that end with LLC or aren't trusts and big series securitizations. Those companies, you probably won't ever be able to reach a decision maker. But if you're looking at LLCs and companies that appear to be small businesses, you may have a much better opportunity finding them directly, or if you have to, going through the attorney and potentially getting that introduction. So reach out to those lenders and attorneys, make the introduction, and show yourself as a capable note investor. So if you continue to read this article, you can learn a little bit more about how to position yourself to be the best possible buyer for some of these assets. All right, next one, market note buying to seller finance private lenders. There's an entire industry of investors who target seller finance holders. So these are homeowners who have sold their property and taken back financing to essentially create their own mortgage note on a property that they once owned. Now, a lot of these property owners aren't professional investors. They don't really understand that these cash flow streams are saleable assets. So you can actually buy lists through a lot of companies that do this public records research to show privately originated mortgage borrowers, or mortgage lenders rather. Then you can create a campaign, often through the mail, postcards, sending a couple every few months or so, to reach out to those potential sellers and let them know that you could give them cash right away, a lump sum for that monthly stream of income that they're currently earning. So companies like Experian, Dataman Group, Advanced Seller Data Services, a lot of others, if you Google it, you can find these list sources. So you could purchase a list of potential sources and then eventually reach out and hopefully get a call back from them to potentially buy their mortgage note. All right, next one here is public records research for assignment of mortgage transfers. Now, we kind of alluded to this in the first strategy, which was looking at accounts that are going in the foreclosure process, but this is a little bit more upstream. Essentially, finding the local county in which you want to be purchasing mortgage notes and looking in the recently recorded public records to see the assignments of mortgage that have been recorded in the last couple of months. Now, if you find those assignment of mortgage have an assignee that is a small business, you could potentially reach out to them and make an offer to buy their loans, but you can also be looking at the assignor, the bank or seller who transferred the loan to the new owner of the property, to the new owner of the note. Now, by reaching out to the assignor, you already know that that company is selling notes because they recorded an assignment. They are actually transferring some of the ownership on the assets that they own to another party. So reaching out to them is an even better source than the assignee because you already know that they're in the business of transferring some of their assets. Next is tracking down a distressed debt seller via LinkedIn and using tools like Bank Prospector. So Bank Prospector is a pretty cool tool created by Distressed Pro, and this tool essentially gives you a window into FDIC records. Now, all of this is already public information already, so you can pull up the FDIC records yourself and essentially look through the different banks that have non-accrual assets. Non-accrual means that these are potentially charge-off loans that could be purchased on the secondary market. So then using LinkedIn to identify the decision makers at those banks, credit unions, you can then reach out and potentially create a relationship to buy loans going forward. Now, this is an excellent source if you can create it. Having that institutional pipeline of product available can give you basically make or break your business. You could have an entire business built on these relationships. So super important. And to set yourself apart, it's really great to actually meet them in person. And that brings us to our final strategy here, and that is networking at banker-centric conferences. So there's a lot of great conferences in the mortgage note space, but many of them are kind of retail. They're for smaller investors. But there are quite a few conferences that the big banks go to, like Mortgage Bankers Association, the Information Management Network, or IMN, or National Mortgage News has conferences. And these are the events where you're going to meet the people who can actually sell you loans, the loss mitigation specialists, the portfolio managers, the people at the banks who are touching these non-performing loans on a daily basis and potentially need a solution to sell those loans and monetize to clean up their balance sheets. So definitely consider going to these banker-centric conferences to meet those decision makers. And then finally, the Mortgage Note Mastermind is really the best place to both find opportunities and to network with other sellers and buyers in this space. Our aggregated trade desk is a premier feature of the Mortgage Note Mastermind and essentially brings in opportunities from all around the industry. I have my assistant scrub through my inbox on a daily basis and find all the deals that I'm receiving, then posting them in a classified ads type of listing repository, so then you can reach out to all these different brokers and principal sellers yourself directly. There's no fees or anything to do that. So if you're part of the Mastermind members, Mortgage Note Mastermind network, you can do all of that included in your membership. Also, I list assets from my own clients on this platform, and other Mortgage Note Mastermind members list their own assets on the platform as well. And there are never any fees to buy or sell loans when you're part of the Mortgage Note Mastermind. So that wraps up today's video on finding off-market, diamond in the rough deals to bolster your portfolio and make or break your note investing career.